Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about why we need a pivot and the important things that we have to consider. And we're going to go over a couple points on why pivoting is important and making changes in our life and how we can make that successful. Whether we're talking about changes in our life because we have relationship changes, or we're looking at new careers, or it's simple as it could be like I want to change where I'm going for my restaurant for Saturday night. So it's really about discovering new opportunities and finding fulfillment in what we're trying to accomplish in life. And life is really all about changes. So I'm George. I'm excited to share some strategies with you and thoughts on how to pivot as I'm looking at making some major pivots in my life, changing some careers, which I'll get into in a little bit. So we need to understand, why is it important to pivot? And sometimes in life, it might not feel right. You may be going through a relationship or a job that it just feels like you're kind of stuck. You're kind of in a rut, and it could be to external circumstances. It could be internal. It could be just dissatisfaction, or you just can feel like you're not growing anymore. And that's really important. So the first step is acknowledging that, this discomfort, hey, I have this sense and need that I want to change, and it's a natural part of growth. But the really hard part is accepting this, and so not being in denial, right? And so the next part is really identifying what are your core values and what are your passions in life. Core values are the number one thing I think that are so important. Understanding whether it's integrity, whether it's family, whether it's supporting others, kindness. There's so many, but the more important is understanding what are your values and then what are your passions. And so and your purpose. Once you add those two together, you can really understand what change you need to make, whether it's personally or professionally, and then how you want to achieve those changes and what you want to pivot in. And then really what ignites your enthusiasm. Because if you don't, have that purpose and passion behind what you want to change, whatever it is in life, it's going to be tough. So take time to reflect that. You may want to write those out. There's a lot of different techniques that you can get after for making those changes. So once you decided hey, this is the area and I need to make a change in my life, this is where I need to pivot, well, then you need to kind of take a look at your current situation. What's working in your life? What's fulfilling? What do you want to change? What do you want to move towards? And then kind of look at that and what's going to be your fulfillment. And like I said, it can be very small. It could be like just changing a routine that you have. I'll give you an example. I purposely, wanted to change some of the restaurants I went to. So I was changing it was an easy change, but still I had to make that change in a different restaurant I may want to go to. Or it could be a massive change in life, like your career change, or maybe you want to move to a whole different city and change up how you're living. You could be going from a condo to a single family home. There's all kinds of different levels of change. So this is really for any of those opportunities. So once you identify what you want to change or where you want to change, you need to start, doing the research. And there's so many opportunities. I mean, with the internet and YouTube, there's ungodly amounts of information out there. But you can be going to friends, you could be going to family, and you can also be going to coworkers, right? Maybe it's the current job that you're looking at changing, and maybe you want to go to a new career, a new job. And there's a lot of different opportunities out there, whether it's you can go out to career counseling, you can go out to job fairs. There's a lot of different opportunities out there. There's different meetup groups around different cities. So a lot of opportunities there. But one of the biggest things, I think, the number one most important thing and the challenge with pivoting is looking at, the fear of change, the anxiety of the unknown, which we'll get into. So, understanding that fear and anxiety and how you get after that. And it's a natural part to be anxious, be nervous, but it's important to acknowledge those fears and those hesitations and what makes us nervous. And I'll get into this more in later episodes or later, videos, I should say. But really, don't be hard on yourself. Change is not easy. As humans, we get very comfortable with the constant. But change is the way how you grow. Without changing, you're not going to be able to grow. And in part of changing, you're going to make mistakes. Big example for me, I've been in the military for many years, and I'm getting ready to make a massive transition, hence why I started this YouTube channel. And I'm looking at doing a completely different thing. I was a flyer in the Air Force, and now I'm looking at totally doing, whether it's, creating a YouTube content, being an entrepreneur. There's multiple different things I have passions in life. I love cars, I love traveling, food. There's all these things I want to look at. And it's very different than what I did in my previous life as a military officer. So really, once you identify, what you want to change, what you want to pivot, and then identify, okay, it's going to be maybe hard, not impossible. So many people do it, but then you got to have a plan. We kind of call it a strategic plan in the Air Force, but you got to, set goals, right? You have set milestones. They need to be clear, they need to be achievable, and they need to be on a timeline. But another important part that people don't, I think, always understand is they need to be measurable, because what gets measured gets done. And this is, I don't care what your job is. I don't care if it's in a personal part, when it comes to relationships. This is very important to identify what are you trying to measure, because when you measure, you have something tangible to go off of, and then you can measure it there, and even like kind of baby steps, right? And that really, really helps. But in the military, as we say, any plan, first contact with the enemy or first contact with reality, in this case, it's really, plan's going to go out the window. And what I mean by that is you have to be flexible. You have to be adaptable. You have to understand, you're going to have to shift. You may find that as you're going down this one path, you may see this other opportunity on the other side, and hey, this is a better opportunity, or this is more what I was looking for. Because we don't always know exactly what we're looking for. We have an idea, of course, and you should know, obviously, based on your values and your passions. And you go down that route, and you're like, okay, this is maybe a better opportunity, or maybe my skill set takes me over here for a career change, or maybe you're in a personal situation, in a romantic relationship, you're like, hey, this is something I experienced with this person that was awesome. They had this great value. Well, maybe I want to expand on that. Maybe that's really what I'm looking for in a partner or somebody you want to spend your time with. And so, really important. Now, as you do all this, realize that hopefully you don't think you're alone. You're not alone. Even if you may not have lots of family or friends, you have YouTube, the internet, and there's so many providers out there and content creators that want to help you become a better person. That's one of my goals, is to help you be the best version of you. And so don't hesitate to reach out for help, education, information, whether it's family, friends. There's so many opportunities out there, but don't do it by yourself. So in conclusion, why do we need to pivot? Because you may be hesitating, you may be stuck, and it's time to grow. And the only way you can grow in life is changing, experiencing things. Term is failing forward, is making mistakes and learning from those mistakes. And then when you can, help others learn. This is really, really important. It's what I do in my career, is I help younger airmen learn from my mistakes as I have to lead different units. And then creating that plan, doing it with purpose, doing it with, what your values are and what you're looking for. And then, reaching out to friends and family, co-workers to help you and support network. And so think about that. And I'll expand on each of these topics and moments to give you more examples, not just from my personal life, but also through other things that I've learned through tons of research and learning on YouTube for the last couple of years. And so with that, please hit subscribe, like this, and as always, thanks for your time. Very valuable.